in United States. And good evening to our esteemed speaker from Japan. Welcome to the monthly Distinguished Lecture Series of the Council for Strategic Affairs. My name is Dr. Adityanjee, and I am the President of the Council for Strategic Affairs. Today is February 28th, 2026. It is 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in United States, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and it is 10:30 p.m. in Japan, from where our distinguished speaker is speaking. So, welcome to everyone. The topic of our distinguished lecture is Japanese Strategic Posture under Sanae Takaichi leadership. And our speaker is Dr. Satoru Nagao. This is the map of Japan, just to ground you. A little bit about Council for Strategic Affairs. CSA imparts education in the field of international relations. Council fosters discussion, dialogue, and debate on geopolitical issues. We encourage strategic studies in general to raise the level of awareness. Council condemns terrorism in all its forms worldwide. CSA aims to contribute towards world peace and prosperity. Council promotes people-to-people contacts and track-to diplomacy. We request our viewers to subscribe, like, and share our YouTube channel. We are registered as a 501c3 organization with the IRS in United States, and we expect our viewers and supporters in the US to help us, support us, and donate to us. The link is there on the website. We have a monthly roundtable discussion, usually either second Saturday of each month, and then a monthly guest lecture by a domain expert on fourth Saturday of each month. And today we have Dr. Satoru Nagao. We have a fellowship training program. So some of our fellows are joining here. And this is the picture of our distinguished speaker. You will be seeing him soon. Dr. Nagao is the non-resident fellow at the Hudson Institute, based in Washington, D.C. He previously served there as a visiting fellow in Washington, D.C. He is a very, very widely published academic and strategic expert. Actually, his PhD thesis was on India's military strategy. He has worked at Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and has served as first lieutenant in Japan's ground self-defense forces. He has authored numerous publications on security issues and also contributes to Nikkei Business. And I'm very delighted to say that he has appeared on our platform several times. This is not the first time, and certainly it will not be the last time. So just to ground you again, map of Japan, political and otherwise, shows you the Japanese neighbors, which are mainly China, Russia, and Korea's. So we are talking about a very charismatic politician, Takaichi Sanae. That's a picture. And that is also her picture when she was a heavy metal drummer. So from a heavy metal drummer to the prime minister of fifth largest economy. And this is a cartoon showing she is sparring with Xi Jinping on Taiwan. And that's why the Japanese strategic posture is important in this situation. Of course, this is Sanae Takaichi with Xi Jinping. So for our viewers, a little bit of background. On October 5th, 2025, Takaichi Sanae was elected as president of the Liberal Democratic Party. After a lot of parliamentary maneuvering, she was elected the new prime minister of Japan by the Diet, which is their parliament, on October 21st, 2025. And after becoming prime minister, she called for early parliamentary elections that were held on February 8th. And surprisingly, LDP won 360 seats out of 465 and increased the tally by 125 seats. Very decisive win for Takaichi Sanae based on her personal popularity and leadership. Because in the previous elections, LDP had lost seats. So after winning these elections, she made some comments on Taiwan's security and Japan's role and commitments. This was followed by a meltdown by China's diplomatic corps, pretty much entire diplomatic corps. And Chinese ambassador to Japan made a statement about cutting the neck of the person making the statement. In political sense, in geopolitical sense, Takaichi Sanae is the political inheritor of the legacy of Shinzo Abe. I don't know whether Dr. Nagao will agree with that. So that's the background we are starting with. Before I hand over the platform to Dr. Nagao, a few housekeeping rules. Please mute yourself to avoid noise interference. Change your cell phone setting to vibration mode. Please don't try to interrupt our esteemed speaker. Only those members of the audience who identify themselves will be allowed to ask questions. Questions are moderated by chat room. Please ask very precise questions. Don't write lengthy comments and opinions in the chat room. Those are not questions. We don't want monologues. We want precise questions. This event is being recorded. It will be available on our website as well as on our YouTube channel, and it's being live streamed simultaneously. And lastly, again, CS is registered as a 501c3 organization with the IRS in United States. Our request to our US-based audience is please donate, financially support to CSA. The donation link is on our website. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like it, and share with it others. So without further ado, it's my honor and privilege to invite Dr. Satoru Nagao to deliver his lecture on Japanese strategic posture under the leadership of Takaichi Sanae. So Dr. Nagao, welcome back.
It is a great honor for me, sir. Thank you very much for inviting me. Indeed, this is the best time to explain this because indeed PM Takaichi will show very strong leadership. And I agree, her mentor is Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. In January, the first visiting place of her is, of course, a little bit cultural background, religious background, the shrine or temple, these are. In this case, she visited that place with picture of the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. So that picture clearly indicates that her mentor is Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and his team is coming back to the new Japanese government now. But firstly, I need to explain how powerful she is. So line up of the fact is needed. When we check the survey, the many media or the companies check her popularity. 65 to 70% of the voters support her. So that's why this is very strong indeed, because 65 to 70% mean 2/3 of the Japanese support her. So that's why the last lower house election, which is of the national diet, Japanese calls the parliament the national diet, and this lower house election, 360, 316 in this case, 16 of the 465 is the ruling party. And with coalition partner, the number reaches 352. What is this number? This number is, simply said, current ruling party, Liberal Democratic Party, in short words, LDP, do not need a coalition partner anymore. That is the number. Because in the lower house, of course, majority is LDP. But even if the upper house LDP lost the majority and the opposition party refused the idea of the LDP always. But after that, in the Japanese legal system, in the lower house, the majority, or in the lower house, if the ruling party gets enough number, even if the upper house rejects it, this idea, this draft, will going to the law. So that's why, under the current number, 360 of the LDP in the lower house means that without a coalition partner, they can do anything. That is the number. But of course, there is agreement between the LDP and the coalition partner. And if the LDP can get the support from the coalition partner, of course, not only the lower house, but also the upper house, they can get the majority. So that's why, of course, coalition partner is very good partner for the LDP. And they will not break the relation. But anyway, this number is very strong number for the PM Takaichi. So now PM Takaichi got one kind of the free hand to do something. Very smooth situation has happened. This means that because of this, PM Takaichi will show her character soon. But firstly, we need to analyze this. Why can she get such kind of power? There are three important reasons. Firstly, the age of Trump. Age of President Trump. What is this mean? Age of the President Trump means that age of the right. Political right. Indeed, two elections. So last one is, of course, February 2026. But in the about the upper house election, July 2025 is also the election. These two elections indicated that the same pattern. LDP, the popularity is different, but even if the July 2025 upper house election, right-wing party increase the number and the left-wing party lose the number. In case of the July 2025, left-wing party's number is a little bit decreased, and the ruling party decreased drastically, but right-wing opposition party increased the number drastically too. And last lower house election, February 2026, the right-wing ruling party, led by PM Takaichi, got the majority, I explained. But at the same time, right-wing opposition party also increased the number. So this means that since 2025, both elections, right-wing or political right parties increase their seat, and left-wing party lose the seat. Why? What happened in 2025 and 2026? it is clear that most influential guy in the world is, in this case, President Trump. And when the people check President Trump's diplomacy, middle or left parties face a problem because it looks like the view from President Trump, the left-wing party is a coalition partner of the President Biden. So that's why any country in this case, for example, the problem in the Greenland. 8 countries send the troops to contribute the security against China and Russia, but view from President Trump, 8 European countries send the troops to the Greenland and maintain the colony in the American continent. But all these 8 countries are left or middle parties. Italy, there is no problem. Slovakia, no problem. So, because their governmental party is right. In the American continent, same things has happened. The President of the Argentina got support from President Trump, even if President Trump dislikes US aid, but President Trump decided to support Argentina because they are right. So that's why this is the age of right, and the right can maintain the good relation between US and Japan. But that is the idea people are sharing. That is first thing. Second reason why PM Takaichi got the power is China. China. Yes, one kind of the good friend for PM Takaichi because China provoked PM Takaichi very much, and Japanese are very upset and decide to support PM Takaichi. PM Takaichi's explanation about the Taiwan crisis is fact. When the China invade Taiwan or blockade Taiwan, and the US try to support Taiwan, in this case, as a US ally, Japan need to support United States. That's why PM Takaichi said that this is the crisis for Japan. Japan's legal system is positivist. Once Japan say this is a crisis for Japan, Japan can support US troops to support Taiwan. So that's why the view from the situation or view from the simulation in the Taiwan crisis, PM Takaichi's explanation was not mistake, just explain honestly. And in the democratic country, such level of the openness is proper and not a mistake. But China has exploited this remark to make pressure to the PM Takaichi. There's a high possibility that China want to know the weak point of the PM Takaichi because in the long run, such kind of the weak point is very useful diplomatically. For example, the PM Takaichi is supported by some industries. So if the China make pressure to that industry, indirectly it will control the PM Takaichi. Something like that China want to know. But PM Takaichi hasn't backed down this remark because this is a fact. And so that's why she hasn't lied in the national diet. So this honest explanation is just a fact. She will not back down. She hasn't backed down and she will not back down. And this is not good for China. China wished PM Takaichi to back down. So continue to provoke, and this provocation makes Japanese upset. So that's why in the election, thanks to China, PM Takaichi got very big support from many Japanese voters. So first reason is US, second reason is China, but there is a third reason. Third reason is more domestic. Indeed, Japanese are a little bit tired to see the same type of the politicians for a long time. Always government LDP, and every time that we see the a little bit old style politicians. But PM Takaichi's new image. PM Takaichi is the first lady prime minister, and she looks like PM Abe, because PM Abe was prime minister who creates an image, changing image. He was the pioneer of the new idea Quad, Indo-Pacific, or he tried to change the constitution, or he tried to change, he tried to change, he tried to change. So this is a new image. When the PM Takaichi raised a hand to join the candidate to be the prime minister, her image is also new. Of course, some part of her is conservative, but not really conservative, the image is. And in the election, this contributes very much. I explained the last two elections, right-wing party won the election, I said. Increase the number. Even under such kind of situation, in the last lower house election, Japan Conservative Party, the right-wing opposition party, lost their seat. Why? Other right-wing parties, as a Sunset Party, Japan Innovation Party, etc., etc., all of these got a seat, increased the seat. Despite this, Japan Conservative Party, only the right-wing party lost a seat. Why? Because people see this party as old image. Instead of the Japan Conservative Party, the name of the party is Future is exists, and that Future Party got the seat. So that's why, indeed, the voter want to see something new instead of the traditional one. Even if they seek the right wing or political right parties. That is PM Takaichi's strong point, because she is the first female prime minister, and she is a little bit independent character. So that's why her character is quite new, people believe. And indeed, one more important feature of her is, I repeatedly say, her mentor is PM Abe. This is very important. So what happened as her policy? That is clearly related to the PM Abe. When she addressed in the national diet, there are many sentences which clearly related with PM Abe's address. And what happened when the PM Abe was the prime minister? He started the careful beginning. After that, gradually, the PM Abe start to show his color. Recently, PM Takaichi's attitude is quite cautious. It looks like what PM Abe did in the past. So that's why her mentor is Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and she tried to be the successor of the Prime Minister Abe is very clear. If so, strategy, which originally created by PM Abe, will be revitalized under PM Takaichi. And a little bit similarity between the PM Takaichi and PM Abe is diplomatic skill. When she swung in the last autumn, she met many leaders within 1 month and creates a good relation with all US leader, Chinese leader, South Korea's leader, ASEAN leaders, European leaders, Global South countries leader, of course, with Prime Minister Modi of India. But within 1 month, it's timing of the many summits or APEC or the G20. a little bit lucky season, same meeting also. So that's why she can meet many leaders at the same time. But she was quite active. That is also true. Because we can compare with other prime ministers. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, yes, he was very active. When we check the number of the country he visited, every month he visited 1.9 countries, so nearly 2 countries every month. This is quite often. PM Kishida tried to show relatively similar, but even if he tried 1.6 countries per month was a record. But in case of the Ishiba, PM Ishiba just before the PM Takaichi, 0.8 countries per month, not active. Compared with Shinzo Abe, only half or less than half. So that's why in her case, PM Takaichi, she was very active. The many leaders she met, and within 1 month, this is quite active, more higher rate than PM Abe. Just a lucky season, that is true, but at the same time, she is active in the diplomatic field, is right, and that's why her diplomacy is similar with the PM Abe type, we can say. So, what is her policy from now? Yes, you can make many leaders and making cordial relations. That is good. But the most important thing is her strategic view and her policies. She has already expressed the plan to become Strong Japan. Strong Japan is a new policy because strong, the word, the Japanese has hesitated to use it. But as a policy, indeed, one by one, she has already set up the date to make this policy until the April. First obstacle she need to overcome is, of course, budget. Japan's annual year is the same with India, the starting from April and end in March. So that's why until by March they need to decide the annual budget for the next annual year. And so that's why March is the key. But in her case, she is active. Not only just decides budget prepared by the bureaucrats, she intervened some area, including increasing the defense budget and easing the restriction of the arms export. So until the April, it will happen because arms export cases, only the 5 categories Japan can export weapon to other country. That is a limitation just now. But this is meaningless. When Japan exports frigate to Australia, because of this restriction, Japan say this is not arms export. This is joint development, Japan said. Because joint development is possible and legally, but arms export is prohibited in case of the clear offensive weapon like the frigate. This is meaningless. Anyway, Japan will export the frigate to Australia, and just law is matter. So who violated this law? The LDP set up the rule, and the LDP violates the rule. This is meaningless. So that's why under the PM Takaichi will remove all of this restriction, which is only 5 categories Japan can export weapons. So no category will be applied after that. That is what will happen in April. July is the next turning point. Why? Because Japan will set up the intelligence agency. Intelligence? What kind of the organization? This is looks like CIA in the United States or research and analysis wing in India or something like that. Indeed, Japan hasn't possessed such kind of the big size intelligence service. Many ministries has a small unit of the intelligence service, and so there are some, for example, the cabinet office has, or Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Law, or Police. All of these ministries has some intelligence unit, but Japan lack the intelligence agency because intelligence agency is working for looks like eye and ear or brain of the body. So with without this, Japan as a independent country cannot work as a uh, independent actor. That's why this is area Japan hasn't touched. But now Japan decide to establish this. So this is completely different, I think. If PM Takaichi establish this as a proper organization. Of course, there is a competition of the bureaucrats. Police want to dominate this intelligence agency or Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Defense, or something like that. But in the international affair, this is very important because there is three type of the diplomacy about the security is exist in the world. For example, between the army and the army, between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But at the same time, intelligence agency and the intelligence agency is also part of diplomacy. So many countries talk about it, deal with it, cooperate with it. So this is a part of diplomacy in the world. But Japan lacks a counterpart, and Japan hasn't improved this so deeply. So that's why, since July, after Japan established this, it will be the game changer, I think. In the past, there are some plan, for example, the Five Eyes, which is a corporation of the intelligence agency of the five countries, the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. These Five Eyes ask Japan to join. So Six Eyes. But that time, this suggestion lacks one important fact. Japan lacks counterpart with these organizations. So that's why this is very important. This is game changer. But under the PM Takaichi, she is planning to establish this until July. And until December, end of this year. This is also very important. PM Takaichi is planning to revise the three documents, which is National Security Strategy, National Defense Strategy, and the Midterm Defense Program. Current one is December 2022. Under the Prime Minister Kishida, it was published. But original idea is made by PM Abe. And now this strategy has continue. But under the PM Takaichi, she will revise this drastically. She is planning, people believe. So that's why December it will publish. And when it will publish, this document will be the very important, people believe, because the last one was also the very important. Last one was very important, we can say clearly, because that document clearly mentioned the country name as a friend and challengers. Challengers? Yes, once the national public document mentions the country name as a challenger, this means that this is clear, a little bit antagonistic, but Japan has did. Japan has done in this case in the 2022. Three countries is number one is China, number two is North Korea, and number three is Russia. These are the lineup clearly. And friend country is, of course, US, Australia, India. India is very high and top in these lines. US and Australia and India, these are very top of the pages we can see, and others are ASEAN, Europe, and South Korea after that. These are the lineup. But that document clearly mentioned the country name as a friend and as a challenger. So that is very important document. And but PM Takaichi will revise it when the more updated one she will publish. So in the December, it will be very interesting time. But at the same time, how devising process is already started. So until the December, many people involved and talk about how to update. So that's why the discussion time is now. So establishing intelligence agency, increasing defense budget, easing the arms expert, and everything included national security strategy. Now Japan is decisive here. So, what is the implication to the relation with India? It's the last question, and we should solve it in this case. India and US, Australia also, that is a matter. You have already listened to my explanation. From this, it is relatively easy to identify what will happen because PM Takaichi's policy is based on PM Abe's policy. And PM Abe was the super pro India. And that's why he mentioned about Quad and Indo-Pacific. We can imagine Quad. Quad is a corporation of the four countries, but without India, this is nothing. Because Australia is US ally, Japan is US allies, so these two countries easy to connect. So if the US, Australia, and Japan, this sorry, yeah, Australia is US ally, Japan is also US ally. So this trilateral cooperation do not demand a new framework. And in case of the Indo-Pacific, also same. These three countries, if they want to cooperate, only the Pacific is enough. Or the traditional, since the 1980s, people use Asia Pacific instead of the Indo-Pacific. But this word is enough to talk about cooperation to the US, Australia, and Japan. But PM Abe start to claim the new concept, which is Indo-Pacific and Quad. How different? Different is, of course, India. So PM Abe tried to include India. That is a key point. PM Takaichi, is she pro-India? That is, people do not know indeed. But high diplomatic skill, diplomacy for multipolar world Japan is preparing, or follow the strategy of the PM Abe. All of these information indicated that for PM Takaichi, India will be very important countries. A very important country. So that's why this is a good thing for Quad, Indo-Pacific, so and India-Japan relation. Everything is pushed by Prime Minister Takaichi. And under the Prime Minister Takaichi, the bureaucrats team or politicians team work under the PM Abe is returning to the current high level of the PM Takaichi government. This means that they will seek same policy. So that's why, as a conclusion of this explanation, we should remember the one important word of the Prime Minister Abe's address in the Indian Parliament in 2007. A strong India is in best interest of Japan, and a strong Japan is in the best interest of India, he said. Under the PM Takaichi, the word will be materialized. I believe so. That is my analysis. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Nagao, for a very comprehensive viewpoint about Japanese strategic posture under Takaichi Sanae as the first female prime minister of Japan, which is a historic thing. Let's start with some questions. So, my first question to you would be whether Takaichi Sanae will try to amend the Japanese constitution to amend the Article 9 of post-World War II pacifist constitution. Will there be an attempt since there's two-thirds majority in the Diet?
That is a very important question. In this, PM Takaichi want to amend the constitution, that is clear. But at the same time, will she improve is a little bit controversial, I think. Because Japan will change the traditional pacifism based strategy, I think. Because Japan's traditional pacifism, so-called pacifism, is not perfectly matched for the current international situation. Simply said, Japan's traditional pacifism is avoiding any military issue and not involve something outside of Japan. That is Japan's pacifism for a long time. So that's why if something happen outside, for example, Taiwan crisis or Korean Peninsula, or promote a cooperation in the full side of the Indo-Pacific, or more wider, recently Japan-NATO relations also exists, Japan-Canada also, and of course, United States cooperation with the United States is vital. Under such kind of situation, Japan cannot maintain pacifism. But in this case, how to change pacifism is a little bit controversial. Traditionally, people say amending the Article 9 of the Constitution, which prohibits to possess military power, is the key. But at the same time, even if under such kind of the Constitution, Japan possesses self-defense force as the armed forces and counter-strike capability against China. This March, Japan will deploy the new missile unit in the Kumamoto prefecture. From the Kumamoto prefecture, this missile can attack the Beijing. So Beijing is under range of the Japan's missile now. So is this a pacifism? A little bit controversial because Japan say counter strike capability, but this is just a strike capability militarily. So that's why under current constitution, indeed Japan can possess any weapons, even including nuclear weapon, I think, because no country claims the nuclear weapon is offensive purpose. Thus, they just say this is defensive purpose. If so, there is no violation against the sentence of the constitution. So, what is the main part of the pacifism in Japan? Indeed, pacifism is a mindset, philosophy, and how to change this philosophy is a very important part. Well, in Japan, in the past, when the self-defense force was established, they call the tank as a special car. Tank is tank, and in Japanese word of the tank is sensha, which means fighting car. This is yes proper word, fighting car. But the fighting car is equipment for the formal army. So that's why self-defense force call this unit, this asset, the special car. What kind of special if the army possessed a tank? So now, after that, a little bit modified, and people start to use the fighting car for the tank. But still, the Japanese self-defense force called the artillery unit is special unit. How special when the army possesses artillery? So these are the pacifism. Every inch of the words they try to avoid the military related word, military related something to because they try this is they make the military related thing is taboo. So under the PM Takaichi, there is a possibility that she will change these small one by one to set up the condition to amend the constitution. That then firstly, currently they are talking with the name of rank. Indeed, in English, the Japanese self-defense force, general is general, colonel is colonel, and lieutenant colonel is lieutenant colonel. In English, there is no difference between self-defense force and other army in the world. But in Japanese, different word Japanese using. For the Imperial Army, colonel is Taisa, but self-defense force, colonel is Issa. In English name is same, but the Japanese, there are two names. Looks like special car and fighting car. So that's why currently the PM Takaichi government plan to change the name of rank of the Japanese self-defense force. They will change this name to the normal army's rank, which means that instead of ISA, which only special for the, especially only for the self-defense force, change to the Taisa, which is the name of rank of the all of the armed forces in the world, including Imperial Army of Japan. So that's why one by one they try to erase the pacifism mindset and make Japan to be normal.
Dr.
After that,
Nagao, I have another question, so I will move on to the next question. Will there be any difference in Japanese strategic posture vis-a-vis Russian Federation in reacquiring the four Kuril Islands?
that is a very important issue. But in this case, Russia is fighting for the territory in Ukraine. So the same Russia will not abandon the territory in the territory of Japan. So that's why the Japanese government does not expect that Russia will return these foreign islands to Japan through negotiation. But at the same time, will Japan try to take these four islands by force? That will not happen too, because Japanese believe these four islands are not so valuable. Indeed, this is very valuable for Russia because this is a gate to maintain the security of the Sea of Horsk, where it's a hiding place of the nuclear ballistic missile submarines for Russia. So this is a nuclear deterrence against the United States. But for Japan, this entrance gate for island of the northern territory is not so valuable. For Russia, this is valuable, but for Japan, just 4 islands. So that's why the Russia want to keep it, and Japan does not interest in so much. So that's why will Japan try to take this foreign by force? Maybe it will not happen, I think. And Japan lacks the capability too. Japan cannot invade it. Japan's counter-strike capability is still mainly based on missiles, and missile cannot occupy islands.
Okay. My next question to you is, will there be any difference in strategic signaling to China about China's hostile activities around the Senkaku Islands?
Yeah, Japan's hostile activity is increasing. And indeed, their hostile activity is expanding the area. So now, not only Senkaku Island, but also the Pacific side of Japan, which close to Tokyo, is under threat. For example, recently, the joint bomber patrol of the China and Russia is crossing the southwestern island of Japan, and going to the Pacific side of Japan and turn left and going north to and approach to Tokyo. And if these bomber carrying the cruise missile, Tokyo is under range because these two bombers of the China and Russia intendedly come to approach to Tokyo and they turn back after their cruise missile range cover Tokyo. So that's why this is a provocation and clear message. These China and Russia's bomber can attack Tokyo by using cruise missile. And the Chinese aircraft carriers also coming to the Pacific side and conducted the exercises. And of course, Japanese fighter jet tried to intercept the fighter jet came from these aircraft carrier with China. But at that time, these China's fighter jet used the target laser and pointed Japanese fighter jet more than 30 minutes. So this is clear provocation too, because target laser is guiding laser of the missile of the Chinese fighter jet. This provocation is repeatedly happened the last half a year. So that's why not only the Senkaku Island in the East China Sea, but also the Pacific side of Japan and the other side of the Japan Sea or other area, that they intensify their provocation. So this under that kind of situation, the PM Takaichi's policy will be more strong against China, Russia, and North Korea's joint move. So it is clear the situation is more serious than the past.
So, since in the Japanese security document there are three challenger nations, China, Russia, and North Korea, under PM Takaichi's leadership, will Japan and South Korea try to resolve the issue of Takeshima Island?
Solving is very difficult because both sides does not have the will to back down. And keeping the territorial issue means that it will not affect the other claim. So that's why the keeping claim is very important, Japan think, and South Korea also think so, I think. So that's why it is not easy to solve. But at the same time, Japan and South Korea try to up the level of the cooperation to deal with Russia, North Korea, China alliances. Because now the North Korea is a former ally of China, but a former ally of the Russia also. So that's why three countries coordinated very well as a former treaty-based ally. So in this case, there is a problem between Japan and South Korea. That is true. Territorial issue of the Takeshima is one of the very important issue, and Japan will not back down. And but at the same time, the Japan and South Korea both try to coordinate under the U.S. Lead. But that is happening just now. So in the long run, when the South Korea's president lost his popularity, there's a possibility he will use the anti-Japan card to rise his popularity because that was a pattern in the past. But at the same time, just now, PM Takaichi restrained to send a high-level delegation to the Takeshima Day. Takeshima Day is that is island both Japan and South Korea claim. So that's why she tried to maintain the good relation with South Korea. So that is currently what happened. But Japan will not back down when the South Korea fighter jet paraded above this Takeshima. The Japanese air base refused these fighters to land Japanese air base to refuel. That has also happened because this such kind of activities are a little bit too provocative. Japan think. So, so problem is there and not solved, but live with the problem and cooperate. That is my current policy.
Okay. Uh, Do you envisage Japan going into an era of developing large aircraft carriers under Sanae Takaichi's leadership? Japan
Japan
just has two helicopter carriers, Izumi class helicopter carriers, now with more emphasis on Japanese defense and hardened strategic postures. Will that be on the card?
It rely on the budget, but currently Japan has already modified the two Izumo class helicopter carrier, Izumo and Kaga, uh, is becoming the small aircraft carrier. And F-35B jet, stealth fighter jet, already land and take off from these two aircraft carriers. So that's why Japan has already possessed two aircraft carriers. But the size is very small. It is true. For example, in case of India, Vikramaditya has 40,000 ton. Japan's one is nearly
45,000
half.
ton displacement.
Yes, so that's why, and the Vikrant is more bigger, but Japan's one is nearly half, I think. So that's why the size is small. So this aircraft carrier of Japan cannot operate independently just now. Because to support US aircraft carrier is the effective, just escort fleet and additional fighter jet Japan can provide. But if the independently this aircraft carrier try to operate as Japan's aircraft carrier, indeed the size is a little bit too small. Uh, if they load the fighter jets, there's no space for fuel and ammunition indeed. So that's why this size is not small enough. Uh, so that's why this is limited capability still. Better than nothing, but very limited. So still, but if the budget will be enough and the US allow Japan to possess, there's a possibility Japan will possess a more bigger one. But at the same time, we are watching, this is the age of the new drone or the new missile, hypersonic missiles. So that's why the possessing the expensive aircraft carrier itself is not so effective use of the budget. So that's why aircraft carrier is useful only when only when they try to show their national will, because they are star. But at the same time, in the wartime, the more cost-effective weapons exist. Submarine, hypersonic speed missiles or drones. So maybe Japan will concentrate the resources to this practical one instead of the possessing a very expensive aircraft carrier, I think.
One last question, and that is from Professor Anup Kumar, who is in the audience. And his question is in the chat room. If you want to read that question and answer that, or you want me to read the question for you,
Ah, okay,
just look
sir.
into the chat. There's a question
Ah,
by Professor Anup Kumar. Do you want to handle that question, please?
strategic autonomy. In this case, hmm, yeah, yes, compare with the past, Japan will be more independent, that is true. But at the same time, for Japan, the cordial relation with the US is still very important because last 2000, 3000 history, the US is the only foreign country to occupy Japan. So such kind of history is very rare in the world, I think, because of the island. But that's why for Japan, the relation with the US is very important and priority. So that's why currently why Japan try to be independent, because US demand Japan to do that. US asked Japan to share more security burden, and to do this, they try to share the more weapons or the more information. So that's why even if the nuclear submarine is not a taboo for Japan now. So once the Japan possesses a nuclear submarine, Japan can operate more wider area. That is true. But at the same time, without the US permission, Japan will not show the well, I think. So is this a strategic autonomy that is a little bit controversial? Because Japan still want to be the US side themselves. This means that this following US itself is Japan's decision. This means that this is Japan decide to as a autonomy, Japan can decide to be the US side, but at the same time, US demand Japan to be more independent, and that's why Japan will do. That's why compare with the past, it will be more autonomy. And in case of the nuclear submarine, if Japan can make the nuclear submarine themselves, so Japan will be more independent. That could happen, but view from the many problems to develop the nuclear submarine, I think Japan also rely on the US to possess the nuclear submarine. I think so. View from this, in total, anyway, Japan will not leave from the United States, I believe.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Nagao, for your very detailed and comprehensive lecture on Japanese strategic posture under leadership of Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. She has just begun her term with a two-third majority, with a decisive thumping majority. So some of the things we are talking about, these changes or strategic signaling, will take time to, manifest and be implemented. It will be very interesting to watch the strategic scene, but we are very, very thankful to you. We are also thankful to our audience members. And finally, I am very thankful to Team CSA, Mr. Ripudaman Pachari and Mr. Rajiv Verma, who helped me organize these events while they remain on the background. So we are highly indebted to you, Dr. Nagao, and we hope that you will continue to grace our platform. And this has been live streamed on YouTube, and it will be available on our website and YouTube channel for future references. Thank you very much indeed.
It is great honor, sir. Great honor.
Okay.